In this next video, I'd like to take the analysis we've done and show how to make time paths out of that. So, reviewing, we had a domestic consumer optimism shock. That shock we translated into higher consumption at home. That higher consumption, we know, increased aggregate demand. So aggregate demand went from here out to here. That act pushed up the price level and pushed out GDP. The next thing that happened is price level expectations began to rise, and that act decreased the short-run aggregate supply, further pushing up the price level, but returning output back to its original level as we kind of climb along that curve right there. So the initial shock drove us out this way. The second adjustment mechanism pulled us back. We made notes to keep all of that in order and said the short run consumption increased, that increased aggregate demand. That pushed the price level from 0 up to its price level prime, P prime. Output expanded from Y naught to Y prime. And that expansion of output we know is related to unemployment falling. Because this lines up with our full employment, natural rate of unemployment level, we know that we're now beyond full employment, which means unemployment must have fallen. As we adjust to the long run equilibrium, expected price level continues to rise, shifting the long run aggregate supply curve to the left. That further pushes up the price level to P double prime, lowers output back to its old level, and lowers unemployment. We could add to its natural rate. Now, how do we translate that into time paths? First of all, the time paths are simply going to be drawing all of these things, okay? So we need a graph for price level, output, and unemployment. Price level over time, output over time, unemployment over time. When we started in equilibrium, we were at some price level here, P naught. We were at some full employment level of output. And we were at some natural rate of unemployment. So our whole story started in equilibrium where the economy was just purring along, not moving up or down. A shock hit. The shock was the increase in consumption. When that shock hit, it increased aggregate demand, pushing up the price level to here, pushing up output, and pushing down unemployment. So the first thing I note are the new places we're going to go. So just to make this simple, we'll assume the shock hit right here at time t0. The effect of the shock was to increase, and I'm drawing this very crudely, but to increase the price level to here. It also increased output to here. That's reflected right here. That's reflected right here. Unemployment fell, and so it went down. Now, we have gotten to what we would have called the short-run equilibrium point. The process of adjustment continues as we move this back to the left, and in that process, the price level continues to rise up to here, and then we reach our new equilibrium. Likewise, output falls back to its old level, so we're going to come back here and then be back in equilibrium, and unemployment also returns to its old level. Those are what we would call the time paths. The reason we like to look at time paths, first of all you're doing is tracing out what you did. You're tracing out this increase in output and decline. There's your increase and your decline, your drop and your increase in unemployment, your price level rising over time. And those pictures begin to get us to a world where we can look at data. If you look at data for an economy, if you look in the newspaper, you don't see this graph. You don't see these notes. All you see is that in the United States, the price level looked like this. Okay? You see output did this. Okay? Those up and down movements, we need to have some way to look at them and make sense of what must have happened. So this is a first step. You take your data analysis and you convert it into time paths. Now you can see if those time paths look like pieces along here. And sure enough, you'll find that as you get better at it, you can look at time paths and know which curve must have moved, and then go back and see, hey, this looks like it's happening in the economy. Indeed, did output increase? Did unemployment decrease? Was it related to a consumption boom, an investment boom, and so on? So that's step one, time paths.